I'm going to be guessing, but I'm going to say, oh, maybe 80 or 90.
So did you have your own separate quarters away from the...
No,
were you with the band members?
No, the band members had their own. They were
okay.
enlisted people, so they had their own quarters. But we were, being junior officers, had 5 of us were in a 2 bunk type situations with a kind of a dressing room in the middle, and I had the upper bunk. I remember that. That's all I remember.
Were you at sea for very long?
No, and the Mediterranean is not much of a. There's no Lake Wequaquet's rougher than the Mediterranean. It's just so calm, and nobody got seasick there.
You never had any encounters with any hostile forces or anything?
No, I think the most encounters I had were with. We used to run picket boat duty around the ship. An officer, Marine with a machine gun, and 2 seamen, one running the boat, and the other one the bow boat. And we were to be alert to underwater demolition, because they said that particularly the Italians were famous for underwater demolition. They weren't against us, but you never could tell. And so we'd circle boats all night long in 4-hour shifts. And we one night we were circling the ship in Naples, and a huge barge came back by us, and of course we had 1 destroyer with us that time, and we looked over, and there was a bunch of girls getting off the barge and climbing up onto the back fantail of the destroyer, and so we zipped over there and said, "What's going on? What's going on?" "Well, we're trying to repel them. We're having trouble." Repel them. So that kind of stuff. That's about all we ever ran into.
You, who was in control of the band?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how many band members were there?
Oh, let's see.
Was it a big band?
There must have been 14 or 16. It varied a little bit depending on duty. But the combo was the one that I worked with the most, only because cocktail parties and things like that, they didn't want a huge band there.
So you got invited to all the functions and stuff because of the band?
I found one of these just when I was looking there. But we got those almost everywhere we went.
Was there any way for you to get out of the ROTC when you figured that when the war had started, or were you...
Oh, you mean in
college? Like at Tufts, yeah.
Yeah,
college.
I probably could have resigned anytime.
Okay.
But they were paying my way through, and I wasn't about to try to pay for it myself because I couldn't afford it.
Yeah, so you figured you'd rather weigh the risks of war.
Right. And of course, then years later, all the colleges dropped their ROTC for programs. They didn't have them for quite a while.
Yeah.
There was an outrage about it. Now they're all beginning to take them back again.
Yeah. Did you look at other schools besides Tufts?
I looked at Cornell.
Was it tough to get into the ROTC program then, or?
No, it was easy to get in the ROTC program if you can get into the college.
Okay.
In other words, as long as you were accepted for the college, the ROTC program would take you. They were looking for, because it was the first year of the ROTC program.
Okay.
So therefore, it was new, and they were looking for people.
Was it easier then, do you think, because they were experimenting with it, or?
I don't think it was any easier in the training. Maybe even a little bit more difficult, because they wanted to set an example so that the people who come along behind us would know what was going on.
Yeah. So did they only have the ROTC program at higher colleges?
Well, they had it at, the Yale had it, Harvard had it, Princeton had it, let's see.
So it seems more like
Cornell has
elite schools.
Most of them had it,
okay.
Yeah, and I'm guessing that a lot of them, well, it depends. We bumped into, when we went to the Hawaii, we bumped into a whole bunch of midshipmen from the West Coast, and they were University of California, Oregon, Washington. So, I mean, they were from all over. I think they somehow, I'm trying to think, they had 50 schools, I think, that were in the ROTC program when it first started.
Okay.
But then it drifted to almost nobody.
So Plymouth was your sort of base?
Plymouth originally.
Okay.
But the minute the war started, we moved around to here.
Was there a lot of... So where were you when the war ended? Were you in gunnery school or were you on the aircraft carrier?
I'm trying to think. I guess I was at gunnery school.
Okay.
I think I was, yeah.
So was there a lot of... What was the reaction like? Would you...
I mean, it was kind
was
of
it
one of those wars where if you were there, it was important, but for most of the public, didn't, you know, it was a funny war. That's,
yeah.
You know, it wasn't like even Vietnam. Vietnam was worse only because of the mess,
Yeah.
the drugs and other stuff that went
Yeah.
on as well. But
So your role didn't change much because the war had ended.
no,
So you
No.
pretty much, it was just pretty much business as usual.
that's right. In fact, if somebody were asking me what I know about the war, I don't know anything about the war except what I read about it. You know, I mean, there was nothing
So
for us.
you were part of the war, but you
Yeah.
were totally separated from
That's right.
it. Wow, that's pretty amazing. I mean, you think like today that would probably never happen because there's so many more outlets to be connected. Do you think that would happen?
Well,
you think if that happened today, you'd be more in touch with what's happening, or
oh well, it depended on where it was. You know,
Yeah.
of course. But if it had been where the Middle East, then it had been us. We'd have been in the middle of that thing
Yeah.
because of all the unrest in so many of those countries. And you know, they blockaded Libya, and that would have been our Navy,
you were here.
the Sixth Fleet. Yeah, I bumped into a fellow. Oh, he's a radiologist at the hospital, and his father was with Signal, which is Commander-in-Chief, Eastern Atlantic Mediterranean, and he was in the Secret Service part of it. Yeah, and so he said, my father probably bumped into you, and I said, it's hard to say because that was a big organization,
Yeah.
and he probably stayed and operated out of London because he didn't need to be on the ships.
Yeah. Wow. So did you ever feel like you weren't helping the cause enough, like the war cause, or you felt like you were doing your equal share as the people over in Korea?
Yeah. Well, I can't say that
You
I
can't say.
felt that way. No, because they were risking their lives, and
Yeah.
we weren't. That's why it's hard to when Rita asked me if I wanted to talk to you about this. I says I'm not sure he wants to talk to me because I'm not a war hero. I'm not nothing.
That's just interesting. You hear a lot of the other side.
Yeah.
There was more going on. I mean, did you feel like you impacted the people where you went?
Well, we cemented relations. That's what we were there for.
Yeah.
We'd go to these ports and we'd get together with the king and queen, if it was in Greece, and the premier in Italy, and so forth. And we'd sit down, and there'd be a luncheon or something. And then some of them, if it was a cocktail type of luncheon, like a little combo would be there playing.
Okay.
I wouldn't go to all of them because unless they needed the band, they didn't need me.
Yeah. Did you feel like you helped the war effort? And
Well, I guess in a way, yes, because we cemented our relations in Europe, and a lot of those countries had sent troops as well as we had. Not many.
yeah,
Most of them were 50 or 100 troops.
Yeah.
It was a token amount just to say they were in there.
okay, but you definitely influenced that decision for some of the countries to send troops over there.
Oh no! Most of them did
Or most
this
of them
on
had-
their own.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't get into that kind of stuff. No. But I know that you could see now in those pictures I showed you of the Turkish doctors and nurses and everybody. They were so happy that we could come and play for them.
Yeah.
And the 5 men that were laying there in their bunks were very pleased. They smiled and everything, and that picture with me looking at that thing was in the Turkish newspaper.
Wow.
Just before I got there, they'd gone up to Sweden. King Gustav had died, and they went up there for the funeral. Of course, if I had the band and gone up there, it was before I came on the ship, but I don't think we'd have played at the funeral. But I mean, we'd have been there, the ship. So.
Did you ever have any problems with any of the band?
No,
members,
most of them are pretty good guys. Yeah, they were pretty good guys.
Did you have to oversee that, make sure they practice?
Well, I'm not a big time musician, but I made sure they got together and did it. And a couple of the lead instrumentalists actually told them what songs to sing and play and so forth. But I was more an administrator than I was a...
So was there like a band leader within the band, or were you?
No, I think I was it, but I didn't do much.
Okay.
Couple
so they
of
all
times
sort of compiled all their skills together and sort of figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no like conductor or anything per se. Wow. It's pretty cool. Well, I think that's it. I don't know if I have any other questions. I don't know. Was there anything else that was exciting?
I can't think of much more exciting stuff.
Anything else that happened that was worth noting?
I went to, when we were in Oran in Algeria, I went down to Sidi Belabis. That's where all the Foreign Legions soldiers were trained.
Okay.
Yeah, it was kind of fascinating to see that. That was... And what's nice about this trip was that as I hear like Libya having trouble and Egypt and what's the one over here next to Tunisia?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean we've been to all those ports.
So you can put a
picture of what was going on
and
there.
the people there. Were there any of the same political scenes happening?
No, it's
there?
interesting. No. In fact, Gaddafi wasn't there yet. Most of these rulers that like and he was still before my time. I mean, after my time.
So these were mostly stable governments.
That's right. They were pretty. Well, I mean, they were all kingdoms, the same way. But there was no uprisings. There didn't seem to be any
so this part of the
turmoil
world,
at all in Europe at that time.
This was pretty stable then.
That's right.
It was a pretty safe place to be.
Yeah.
Great. I think that's it. Well, thank you so much.
Well, I hope it helped you.
No, it was great. It's been a real pleasure talking to you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay.